Hey folks, this is the Botball coach. Today's video is going to be about sensors. There's for the demo bot, there are 5 sensors that you get, at least with the current version. Just want to introduce the sensors to you. This one is I guess a lever, and it's a digital sensor. So if you bump into it, okay, it'll do a clicking sound. It'll let you know that it's sending a 1 or 0. Alright, so it's a binary signal. Then over here you have a button. Okay, it's a button sensor. Same thing. And in a moment I'll show you guys. I wish my camera was a little bit less blurry. But in a moment I'll show you guys the values that it changes on the Wallaby. Then you have another one right here that is a distance finder. Notice that it's shooting out some infrared, so it's basically saying the bounce back, and if it does, I guess it picks it up and tells you how far it is. Ooh, I feel like you ever watch Star Trek? It's like Borg. Alright. The next one over here, so these 3 on the right side that I've divided up, these are analog. Alright, and this one here, as you can see, is another sensor. I've never actually noticed that. Now that I'm taking a video of it, that's pretty cool. Alright, but this is doing a line detection, so if you actually see a color on the ground, like a differentiation, and hopefully I can find like some black objects and white objects so you can see that. And then this right here, this is a light detector, so if you shine light on it, the color will change. And I'll give you an example of that in a moment. But here we go. I'm going to show you what happens when you're actually looking at the devices. So I have 3, like I said a moment ago, I have 5 sensors, sorry. And let me go ahead and change this to the list of sensors. Okay, so I have a sensor list and a sensor graph. The graph will give you a visual, whereas the sensor list will give you a list of all the values as they change. Okay, so the first easiest one is going to be the digital ones, and so you're like looking at all these digital ports and you're like, where in the world are they connected? So coming down just a little bit here, let me put the screen back on. So looking at it right here, you can see I plugged it in, and if you can see the ports, this one, okay, the lever is plugged into port 3 for digital, and then the button is plugged into port 6. So we're going to look for digital 3 and 6, I believe. Or maybe it's 2 and 5. I can't remember how it's counted. I think it's digital 2 and digital 5, but okay, so I think that's what it is. Digital 2 and digital 5 for the digital. And these are all digital ports. And then over down here, these are your analog ports. And that's for your distance finder, your black and white, I guess, line detector, and then your light detector. Okay, so let's go ahead and play with that a little bit just so that you can see, because we're going to be pulling these values in a moment. So this is the lever. So digital sensor 2, you can see it goes from a 0 to a 1. You see that? So now I'm holding it down. This stays 1. Then over here you have digital sensor 5. So this is actually clicking and showing 0 and 1. You can see that right there. Alright. Then over here, as I scroll to the top, alright, I'm going to go ahead and scroll over to the top. You have your 3 analog sensors. So one of them, they're constantly changing because, you know, they're cycling through, but they're looking for values. So right now I'm playing around with the distance finder, and I'll be going, I'll put like this non-reflective surface over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of move it in and out like this, okay? And then what we're going to see here is that in port number 5, this is where the distance finder is plugged into, that value is going to change. So if you look over here, notice that port number 5 has decreased from the value of 2000 or actually 3,000 down to a very low value. Is it 29,000? Sorry, not 29. 2,900 now is down to 1,500. And it bounced back and forth. So the idea is that you're supposed to find an object that's relatively stable. And let me see if I can. I'm trying to get a better value for you guys to see that differentiation. So it's now close to 3,000. Let me move this a little bit closer this way. But I'm actually going up against an object here. So you can see right now it is 3,000. As I get closer to an object, it drops down to a lower value. I wish there was a more consistent object that I can give you guys for distance finding, but that's analog sensor 5. Okay, and I'm just going up against a bedpost. I'm over here. I'm just going up against a bedpost. You can see it's just reflecting. All right, that there's this color bounce back. Okay, and you can try that out. Yeah. So if you're a coach and you're asking students to test out these values, this is how they would go test it out, make sure that the sensors work. The next one is some kind of, like I said, a line detector. All right, so what you want to do with this line detector is be able to have it sense a differentiation of color. So I just have a black object with a white object, and as I go between, let me just see right here, maybe this will work and will not work. So right now I'm just covering it up, light detector, not light detector. There's like a light detector, but if you can see right here, this is in port number 3, I believe. It drops from value about 4,000 down to 200. Okay, and the idea is that if you are over an object that reflects, then it should bounce back all the light, so you get a value of 4,000, versus if you are on a black absorbent object or a surface, then it'll drop down to, like you see right here, value 200. So then you can use some kind of range, greater than less than value, to figure out if you are on a different color type. So that's how the line detector should work. And then finally, I have a light detector. Okay, so this is a light detector. And the idea is that if you actually have some kind of bright light shining on it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my camera over here, and I'm going to shine some bright light on it. Okay, let me just see if I can get this nailed down properly. Give me just a moment. And this is in, what port is this in? This is supposed to be in port 0. Alright, so let me see if it's working. Is it working? So do you see the values coming down? So usually it's like 4,000, and if I'm shining light directly at it, okay, let's see if I get it. You see how it has dropped down to 200? Okay, 3,000, and now down to 200. Okay, so those are your 5 sensors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it, and I'll have a demo of how the robot can react to these different values, and hopefully it gives you a better idea of how students can utilize sensors. And the idea is to use these sensors when your robot needs to make a decision, whether it's close enough to an object, or if it's too close to an object and needs to back up before grabbing it, so it has a better consistency of, meaning that it doesn't actually bump the object, versus it get close enough so that I can grab it properly. And students, when they're working on robotics projects, tend to say, well, I'm just going to go up and grab it. Well, humans, they have eyes, and so they know that when they get close to an object, okay, they want to start grabbing before they bumped into it with the back of their hand. Okay, so think about it logically from a biological point of view, and as you build your structures, if they have those kind of human-like features, have the students think about what they would do using their body, and then mimic So, think about maybe like biomimicry. And what that means is that you're using biology to use as a platform, all right, when you're building your designs, okay? And these are discussions that will bring much more just wealth of knowledge, and then make your students better prepared down the road when they go into other competitions for robots, or get them interested into different fields in science. So I like to tie everything together, and this is how I work and how I coach. So if you're watching this video, if you have any questions, or if you need some help, drop me a line, leave a comment. This is the Botball coach. Thanks for watching.